In everyone's life, our inner fire burns out. That fire is then burst into flame by an encounter with another person.
Welcome, income hackers. This is your host, Ryan G. Wright. This podcast is for individuals and families who are interested in fast tracking their financial success. You'll hear experts discussing topics like generating a residual cash flow, building wealth through real estate, financial literacy, creating a family legacy, and overcoming your fears. If you get value out of this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's a big help to me. I want to jump right into it. We call this the big meat, Pray Drive. What does it mean? How do I get it? Let's talk about it.
Prey drive is prevalent in animals, specifically dogs. It is a carnivore's instinctual ability to find, capture, and kill something. Okay. Now we understand that in dogs that a dog has a prey drive. If that is activated, then that dog can become very aggressive. It can move towards something. I actually believe that humans have prey drive. It is an instinctual ability inside of you to see something with the mind or with the eyes optically, and to have the fortitude, the intensity, the persistence, the activation to want to go get it. And I could sit here and give you countless examples of people that I have coached that they had the talent, they had the skill. What was not activated was that prey drive. My own wife is a good example. 30 years old. She had no direction, no purpose, no guidance, no coaching. She was nervous and scared. She was shy. She came to one of my workshops. This was before we were married.
Yeah.
On a book I wrote called This Ain't No Practice Life. That was the first personal growth book she'd ever read. First time she'd ever been exposed to a coach. Over the next 8 years, she would begin writing her own books. Now she's doing women's conferences. Now she's coaching other women on their conference. So what happened to her? Her prey drive was activated. A good coach understands how to activate this in a person. So think of it like me helping you find another gear that you didn't know you had. And I'm coaching people that earn $3 or $4 million a year personally, sometimes more, that after some time with them, it has activated them to a much higher frequency. So that's kind of an area I'm a specialist in. Companies bring me in to activate the prey drive in their people. Management teams bring me in to activate it in their managers. So over the years, that's just become a specialty to me because I've been coaching for 27 years.
That's awesome. So how do you activate the prey drive? Like what would somebody do if they're like, I get it. I'm having a hard time, getting that winning instinct or what, prey drive, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of vocabulary they may use around it, but what are some of the steps to activate that?
Well, think of it in three components. First, it has to be activated. Second, there has to be a persistence to it, meaning you got to work the muscle over and over. And the more you work the muscle, the more confident you become and the more you activate the drive. And third, there's got to be an intensity to it. Prey drive could be activated by any number of things, but here would be some key ones. Competition, or tapping into a deep desire to compete. Fear of loss is a big one. Like you built a good life, you're afraid of losing that life, so you get up and work hard every day because you don't want to go back to where you came from. Inspired by others, when you're around other people, this is why your podcast is so critical. This podcast could activate the prey drive in a person.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big one for me. Environment is an activator of prey drive. Like I try to build a high prey drive environment. So that has to do with how we meet in the morning, how we motivate our employees, how we have a time structure and a system, how we help them earn higher income. All of these are activators of prey drive. And embarrassment, not me embarrassing a person, but a person being embarrassed by their performance. Sure. Or where they are versus where they could be. These are 5 motivators or activators of prey drive. And I do believe there's a difference between a motivator and an activator. Okay. If I activate the prey drive in you, that may change everything for you. You may not need external motivation from me because now you have the motivation. I have activated a curiosity in you. And I think about a real estate agent that I'm coaching that when I started coaching him, he was doing 45 deals per year. His prey drive had not been activated. And he was 40 years old. At 35 years old, he was living at home with his mother. And I came in and started coaching him, activated the prey drive. This year, he is on track to do 160 transactions, sometimes earning as much as 120,000 a month. He went from number 46 in the market to number 6. He's about to break number 5, and I really think he could get to number 1 at some point. So what happened to him? That drive was activated. He would tell you I activated a curiosity in him. I awakened a potential in him to want to expand and grow that was not there for, 40 years of his life.
So lots of people may say, well, Michael, if I just had more tools or resources, or if I just had more money, or if I just had, then I could be successful, right? It's like all the, a lot of these external sources of like, well, if this happened, then I'd be successful. Well, yeah, I could be that good if I had this or if I had that. What would you say to somebody that may be thinking, well, if only, what would you say to somebody that's in that mindset right now?
I would say you don't need any equipment. This is a big concept for a lot of people. You activate this drive in the pursuit of something. Okay. Many times people don't know their why. They don't know their purpose. I would actually argue that many times you find these things find you in the pursuit of something. Okay. So I tell people, you don't have to find your why to activate your prey drive. You just have to start. You just have to get involved. You have to make the first phone call. A guy on our team that makes 80 phone calls a day, he earns over $100,000 a year. When I hired him, he was scared to death to call a person.
Wow.
He would hide when it was time to make outbound calls.
So what changed?
So what happened was his prey drive was activated in the pursuit of doing, in the actual act of practicing, training, role playing, getting better. Then he begins to find that voice, it activates it for more. And then it becomes something that he can do at any time, at a moment's notice.
Yeah. So these skills, are you born with it or do you learn it?
I think some people have something that you can't put in them and you can't take it out of them. Okay. I was raised by a single mother who has a very high prey drive that is a worker. She taught me how to get up, dress up, show up. We don't whine. We don't complain. We don't make excuses. She wouldn't let me miss a day of school for 12 years. She instilled something in me that many people can't understand. Where does your drive come from? I can't tell you where it comes from. I just know it's in me.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would tell you that there's days that I don't know my why. I don't know my purpose. All I know is I get up and I go get it every day. And I try to instill that in my team. So is it born? Is it nurture? Is it nature? I don't know. I think it can be activated later at any point in life. It could be activated at 15.
Sure.
My daughter loves horses. I didn't grow up riding horses, but my daughter went to the barn one day. She rode a horse. The next thing you know, she's coming home saying, I want to work at the horse barn. She would go to that horse barn and ride horses and work. Right. So what's happened to her? Something about that activated a curiosity in her. What if we never exposed her to the horses? What if we never put her in those positions? You've got a 7 and a 9-year-old. Our job is to put our children in positions to find this, to activate it. And then my job is to go find the best horse riding coach in the world for her and to put her in a position to thrive, to expand.
Yeah, I love it. So let's say somebody's got this prey drive activated. Maybe they haven't, and maybe it's kind of up and down sometimes, like circumstantial a little bit, and you got to like relight the fire inside yourself again. But let's say somebody's they got excited, they got the prey drive, they're feeling it, they're making some calls, and then something happens that they weren't expecting. They make a whole bunch of calls. Let's say they're calling homeowners to try and get a deal to buy as an investor, and they keep getting slapped in the face. So they go knocking on doors. They're a week in, and then they're thinking, this might not work out. I'm going to give up. Maybe how do we keep that prey drive going through adversities that come through anything good in life?
Well, I think you should expect the unexpected. The bigger you get, the more you do, the more adversity sometimes you're going to face, which is just a departure away from the ideal scene. When I'm coaching a person through adversity, I believe all of the raw materials we need for bigger futures comes from our past. It comes from adversity. And I think it has to do a lot with how you see adversity. I'm going through this, like a lot of people say, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And if you can get your mindset into that, like, I don't know why this is happening, but it's happening to build me for something bigger. Right. Like what takes years to build up can take seconds to tear down, which is why you have to guard and protect your confidence. And your approach of volume solves almost all problems in the sales world, right? I mean, it just does, because when people let you down and they don't come through and they start with good intention, but they fall off the wagon and you get disappointed. All of this is human nature. When you understand human nature, truly understand it, then there's nothing that people can throw at it that you don't expect. Good people are going to turn bad. People are going to be selfish. There's going to be egomaniacal people in the world. Like the more I've dealt with people over the last couple of years, especially as my coaching business has expanded nationally, internationally, and I'm dealing with so many people, I would tell you there's nothing that would surprise me from people. Yeah. So I come into every day expecting the unexpected. And when something unexpected happens, I deal with it, but I do not allow another person to stand between me and my destiny. I'm going to come in every day and work toward the future to keep my prey drive protected. Sometimes these things activate the prey drive, like your back's against the wall. You had adversity. You're broke. The last 25 people you called didn't buy anything. People hung up on you. You know, sometimes it's the best thing that could ever happen to you.
Yeah, I love it. I love this idea of volume solves all problems, yes. Especially as a real estate investor, as an income hacker, as, you know, trying to build cash flow and wealth and those things. We find a lot of people get started, but they don't finish. And I think they don't finish because of this prey drive. And we might get it like excited for a little bit, or they might get excited, but then when adversity comes, they start saying, oh, well, that really wasn't what I thought it was. And it's like, how do you break through the adversity? It's really interesting, because I think the secret keys to wealth are hidden, because you got to put a lot of effort to actually get to the other side. And the weak, you know, it's the weak rule themselves out. They may be inches from success, but they don't push it the rest of the way. Any advice for somebody, coach, for something like that, where they're thinking about giving up? How do you keep in it, even though you're not finding the success? How do you know you're actually making progress when you can't show a check yet, but you're moving in that right direction and you're so close to it, but you got to keep pushing through? Any thoughts on what you could tell people in that situation?
I think you need to measure progress, not perfection. The way you measure progress is you look back at where you were at some point in the past, and you measure that versus where you are today. This keeps you in a mindset of gratitude. When you're measuring yourself versus where you are versus where you think you should be, there's a gap there. That gap is a good thing because it motivates you. It's a bad thing because it makes you feel like a failure, like I'm not where I want to be. And I had this problem when I started my coaching business, why am I not doing this? Why am I not where I'm supposed to be? Why am I not speaking on bigger stages yet? Why are we not selling more books? And one of my coaches always used to teach me, you need to look back. And he would say, now, how much were you making as a high school basketball coach? And I would say, $60,000. And he's like, no, how much money are you producing today? And how many books have you written? And how many people have you helped? He would always make me look back at where I used to be versus where I am today, versus constantly measuring where I am versus where I think I should be. And that's a good hack right there.
Yeah.
The hack is, okay, man, I was a high school basketball coach, never earning more than $60,000. I mean, we may have $100,000 day, you know what I'm saying? And I was making $60,000 a year. So my point is the way we look at success sometimes is all wrong, because we're constantly measuring or comparing up. It'd be like me comparing myself to Cardone, and he's 61 years old, doing, worth 300 or 400 million, and I'm 43 years old. A better comparison is, where was he at 43 versus where I am at 43? And that's how we need to be looking at it.
If you got value out of our discussion today, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's a big help to me. Also, please share with a friend. Nothing is more valuable than creating financial friends who are like-minded. You can do that by inviting them to listen to the Income Hacker podcast. Bye for now, and make it a very profitable day.